Um, were there any funny incidents that happened, as you became a Muslim?
Me or Sister
Yeah,
Denise?
yeah.
Oh, some funny incidents. I haven't had any truly funny incidents. No, I don't know. Denise, do you have anything to share?
In the beginning, you forgot to wear your hijab before you went out, or because something new.
I know I had. You just said something that was, you know, nowadays I'm cautious about now when I start wearing hijab. I remember going to a sister's house who, mind you, kind of lives across the street. But I just had my first baby, Fatima, and it was snowing. So, you're so used to putting a hat on. So anyway, so I packed my baby. She was about 2 or 3 months. So, new moms are like, double packing this baby. And I'm going outside, and I am like halfway to his sister's door, and I realize I don't have anything on. I mean, I'm completely like, and now instead of me just going to that sister's house and saying, help me, I turn right back around in the snow with this baby running all the way back, and I'm like, and it's literally, I stop on a step and it's like, why didn't I just go to that sister's house? So I'm still sitting there questioning myself on my front step, and I'm like, let me go back in my house, and then I do the kind of like the spy tactic. I'm looking through the blinds, making sure no one saw me because I'm like, and I'm like, I'm in my house now, and it's funny because I literally can remember the process, and I'm like, just put the hijab on and go. So I'm like, forget it. So now I'm a strong woman now. It's like, yeah, y'all saw me without hijab, and I'm running to the sister's house. So I'm infamous of doing goofy stuff. So that's one of them.
Oh, fantastic. So Denise, what's your favorite virtue or morals in Islam?
Favorite virtues. I think the modesty, honestly. Um, Being here in a Western culture, it's really hard to get into that mindset of maybe modesty is a good thing. Especially when you're at an oddball, when you go outside and it's 100 degrees outside and you're fully covered, and you get all the questions. Oh, now I just realized a funny. Okay, we'll go back to that later. Okay. Yeah, but the aspect, yeah, the modesty actually. I think me personally, it was a personal struggle with how I looked. Even after I was married, I tried to go out there and um, it was always how I looked, wear the tightest clothes, and with that comes uh, dieting, and it gets to the point where it's uh, horrible, eating disorders, things like that, and you don't really realize that it's all because of this image. And then when I covered and I let I I didn't just lose that. I just wasn't just covering. It changed me mentally as far as this whole bad eating disorders and things like that. So I really come to embrace the modesty, and I really like the modesty because of what it's done for me um, personally.
Okay, what about you, Sister Samaya?
I think what she said is pretty much what I'm going to say too. I mean, along with modesty and the change that goes with it, comes also a change in your behavior, as well as the people around you. And like I said before, we probably wasn't the best dressed non-Muslims in the world. I mean, things up here were showing, things down there were showing. But when you became Muslim, it realized there is a beauty of modestly dressed. And then along with modesty came the sense of sisterhood, in your community, because everybody's looking like you. They are dressing modesty. So you didn't feel like you're the only one out there. No, everybody's either wearing a jilbab or outer cloak or hijab or cardigan or long dress. And then within that sisterhood, you got actually the whole community. The brothers don't look at you. You get respected. I mean, it is a sense, even though, you know, Manhattan has a beautiful masjid, you know, you do feel like when you go to the masjid, like we're all on the same page, that community, that sense of modesty within not just the clothing, but with one another. And then when you step out, like if you go to the local Walmart or something, it changes, you know, and you want to run back to that. So within that modesty comes that outer picture, the sisterhood, that everybody's like you. We are acting the same way. Okay, maybe more of us is kind of more funnier than the other person, but and then within that sisterhood, I think the community that you know, when we're fasting together or when we are praying together, you know, during Ramadan, it's a, you know, that whole sense. It's a beautiful ritual change. You know, it's something that you want to do. You know, yes, the modesty, you want to dress, you know, like this. You feel good about yourself. Other people see you that way, and when you're with a community that does the same thing, you feel closer. So I think those all kind of go in hand.
Amazing. So, Sister Denise, how did you find it when saying you only became a Muslim, like you only reverted a year ago? You used to take your children to school.
Right.
How do people look at you now that you used to be Denise and now wearing a scarf and you've changed into a Muslim, and how
It actually was very we recently just moved like 2 weeks ago here closer to the masjid, but before that we lived on a military base. My husband is in the military here, and it was very very interesting. I had some people that actually didn't care. They just were like, "Oh, okay." But you know, you get the stares, especially on the base. You get the funny looks, questions. My kids got questions like, "Why does your mom wear so much clothes?" You know, and that actually, now I can tell you the funny story. Like my neighbor, you know, she was my neighbor before I reverted, and um, her son, he's like, do you realize, like, he was talking to me like I had went and say, do you realize it's 110 degrees today? And I realized what he was saying. I had you know, I was like, yeah, it's really hot. You know, I didn't say anything to him. He was like, you say that all the time, yet you come out here dressed head to toe covered. I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm sorry that the weather doesn't agree with my modesty. And he's just like, and then he just went back in the house. So, but this just, I mean, you know, you get the funny stares, you get the questions, but you know, you just go day by day. I just took it as, you know, they'll come to understand. Some people just came right out and asked me, and I just said, yeah, and they went along their business. I think sometimes you kind of work yourself up to this big episode, and it's really not going to happen, like this big drama, and it never happens. So